start?
Yeah, I think we should ignore Chris Miller's comments.
Good evening. It's Wednesday at 9 o'clock. This is the Whatnot podcast where we put the what into whatnot. I'm Mike Z.
And I am Chris, and we are joined tonight by, well, I would say a pretty special guest. We'll leave the word special out there for now. Mr. Frank M from Amana Tool. This is where the little, golf applause would take place. Yeah, that too. Frank heads up the technical department up there at Amana Tool, and well, we've been talking a lot about CNC and woodworking, and we figured, well, why not have the master tooling company on? And so Frank's here to join us tonight. Thanks, Frank.
Thanks for having me. I thought that was a pretty good introduction there, almost like Game of Thrones things. It was really awesome.
Thank you.
Look at this. Nice job.
We battled to the death at the end, so just be ready for that.
Wait a second. I got my broadsword sitting right over here.
Of course. Oh, thank you for joining us, John.
Or Michelle.
No, definitely. It's here's Johnny. So it's Johnny.
Well, it could be his wife just playing games. We don't know. We'll find out next week, though, won't we?
Mm-hmm. Yep. John will be on with us next week.
And so we already understand that no matter what is said tonight, Chris Miller's comments will be left alone.
Shout out to old Chris.
Oh, man.
That's it. Yeah, since we don't have official Amana shirts and look as good as Frank does right now, we gotta give a little stab over there to speak of the devil. Look at him.
Oh.
There he is.
Oh, and Mr. Kyle Ely, he's joining us. Thank you, Kyle.
Mr. CNC himself.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, you know what? It's the thing about woodworking. We constantly kind of talk back and forth about different things, and different techniques and joinery and machinery, but it all comes back to those consumable items, like sandpaper and router bits and saw blades and stuff like that. And so we'll talk a little bit about that tonight. And but just Frank, why don't you give us a little bit of background? Maybe just kind of tell us a little about who you are and what you do for Amana.
Well, I'm the technical director at Amana. I've been there for just had my anniversary, starting my 24th year. So going into this, it's been quite a while. I've moved around from sales manager to technical director, cleaning the parking lot, you name it, I've done it there. So it's a great gig. I mean, I really love it. I love the people, love a lot of the customers, the end users, the dealers. They're all really good people. Most of them are all really great people. You have those few every once in a while, but you're not going to take the good with the bad, and they're just trying to get something. They're just trying to get information. They just want to know. But like you guys said, there's a lot of guessworking, and there's a lot of trying different things to try and, because everything is different.
Mm.
I had a guy call me today. He was cutting solid surface. He was using one of our bits, and he was cutting clean. He's had it for 2 years. And he just calls me today. He goes, "It's really chipping." So, we started kicking it around, or, you're feeding speed rates right. Maybe the material changed. He goes, I called them, and they said, no, talk to your tool guy. So it seems to be everything's, talk to the tool guy. You're talking about CNC. Now, CNC is fine. We got to talk to the tool guy. So it goes back and forth like that. And, eventually, in most cases, we figure it out.
Yeah.
In some cases, there is no answer.
We know that all too well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, our day jobs, we have to answer a lot of those similar questions.
Mhm.
So yeah, it can be quite fun and quite challenging. So clearly, you've been at Amana for a day or two, and you've probably you've seen a lot of change over the years. Because I remember Amana, years ago, when they just they had a few bits and they had a few blades and I mean, and when I say few, they still had a lot, but man, over the last 10 years, they've just Amana has just blown up with the offering that they have.
You have to figure that Amana was a router bit company originally that started with router bits and then got into saw blades. Okay, whereas some of the other companies out there were saw blade companies and they got into selling router bits.
Hmm.
And you've probably noticed, and you're right, maybe in the last 10 to 12 to 15 years ago, there's been a great shift in moving from saw blades to the routers. And like when I first got there in '98, there were these big panel saws and they like 600 millimeter diameter saws with scoring blades that were pre-cutting all these sheets, and they were very expensive. And then it came along, to start the CNC came around, so they didn't need all those big blades anymore. So now you just got half-inch spiral bits zipping around, nesting, and
Hmm.
things like that. So people found that wow, we can less waste, less material waste, and they can just keep going on and they can nest the stuff and they're getting more pieces out of that. Because with the saw, it's either it's just square, rectangular, or strips. So that has been a big change in the industry in the last 10, 15 years. And now, like, forget about it now with the router bits. Now it's aluminum cutting, melamine, compression spirals, whole fluid spirals, up and down, in and out, left and rights, insert tools.
Yep.
It's just it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I've noticed just over the last, I don't know, 5 years, the insert tooling side from Amana has I would say what doubled, maybe tripled.
The insert tool gets it, and the problem is that we're undergoing changes all the time, and the spirals and things like that is probably the biggest category right now. The insert tooling is great when we first start. It's almost like saw blades. You can't just make one saw blade. You got to make like 1,000, 500. And then if you're stuck with them for 15, 20 years, like I say, those big 600 millimeter saw blades, they're not buying them anymore because those machines aren't out there
Yeah.
unless there's some place in a third world country or something like that they use them only use machines. They're just not popular. So you're trying to get rid of them. I had a dealer call me up the other day. He said he bought these 600 millimeter saw blades on special like 15, 20 years ago for like $40 each. It was a deal he couldn't pass up. I says, how many do you have now? He goes, all of them. That's like that turned out to be not such a good deal, Joe. But yeah, it's really it has really changed, and you know what? It's probably going to change more as we get through this pandemic years and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's all going to change. Look at how many people now are buying these CNCs and using them at home. A lot of it's new time, first time I'm using a CNC. I'm going, oh my goodness, here we go. What do you recommend? What are you cutting? I don't know. It's like it goes around in circles. Well, take a look at the website. Take a look at here. I got this one bit. You look at our website. It's pretty great. You can look down. You can scroll down. It says view other sizes. Gives you every size that we have in that same style of bit.
Yeah.
If you want a 2-flute straight bit, if you want a spiral bit, if you want CRN coated for aluminum, if you want Spectra coated for plastic, you could go down. It just gives you a litany of every size.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem when you start looking at the Amana website is it starts to look, overwhelming because you have so many options to choose from. And you got everybody under the sun saying, "Oh, well, you need this starter kit or that starter kit," or and it gets very convoluted. And so Sometimes people just need to think about, okay, what are you going to cut, and start from there. If you're going to cut multiple things, then work around. But yeah, we get that a lot with sandpaper during our day job.
Mhm.
Yeah.
People are used to going to the hardware store and picking up looking at bits, and there's one option, or looking at discs and there's one option, and they come to a company that's designed for specialty woodworking, and they just can't comprehend why there would be so many options.
And you're right with that. And when you've been in a place for a long time, I've forgotten more than I remember, because you go through all this stuff, and the guy's like, I guess to them it's overwhelming, but I'm looking at this all day long.
Yeah.
Sometimes with all the different reps that you have, they're repping sandpaper, they're repping glue, they're repping paint, they're repping, I forgot.
24 years in technical.
Clamps.
Yeah.
There it is, right behind you. Clamps. They're repping clamps. They're repping all that stuff. And it's like, well, I want to do this. Well, tell me what you want to do, what type of material, and I'll kind of point you in the right direction. Then you go look at it, and I say, call me back.
Yeah.
You all day.
Yeah, it's kind of like walking up to a realtor and saying, "Yeah, I want to buy a house." Well, how many bedrooms? Well, I don't know. How many baths? I don't know. Well, how much yard do you want? Yeah, I'm not sure. You got to have some idea of what you're doing before you go there. Otherwise, it's not going to make sense.
The hardest question I would probably think is, how many board feet am I going to get out of a bit? Or how many board feet am I going to get out of a blade? Those are the hard ones. Like, I don't know. What kind of saw do you have? What kind of this do you have? What kind of are you a fast pusher, a slow pusher? Are you using a power feeder? All those things. Where heat, the more heat, the more carbide gets destroyed.
How many nails are you going to hit?
Yeah, I never asked him that, because I don't want to insult the people out there.
But it's a possibility, so you got to keep it in the back of your mind when you're asking your questions, to lead down the road that you're trying to find out the true answer for them, because every customer is different. Everyone's got a different situation. That's what we run into all day.
Yeah, you're right, and I'd say most of the people are nice, and especially I grew up. My grandfather, he was my idol, and he taught me everything I know about construction and cabinets and things like that. And I get these guys that grow up and they're like 85, 90 years old, and they're just starting out. It's just got a soft spot in my heart for these guys. Okay, what are you doing? Man, try this, try that. I don't have. Can you look? Oh, we don't have internet. we don't have a cell phone. It's like, can you mail me stuff? I'll get letters every once in a while. Hey, could you mail me a catalog? And the guy forgets to put his address there. It's like.
That happens.
We do a lot with the Amish, so we get that too.
Yeah, they're pretty good. They're really great craftsmen, those guys.
Mm-hmm.
They love our tools, though.
Yeah, actually, now that you say that, that is probably one of the higher requests that I know of. Because whenever they get the chance to actually use the phone, it's like they have to give you that laundry list of things they've been waiting in line to tell you. And you have to kind of go run and research everything they're looking for. It's almost like a school giving you a big a bid. You have to kind of run around and try to figure out if you can get them everything they need. Then the next time they get a chance to call you, you got to grab that phone and answer it and say, yeah, okay, we could get that for you. That's what we run into.
I'm lucky enough that years ago they got a headset for me, because I guess I used to talk and I needed to write, so I put them on speaker. And speaker sometimes didn't work so good, and I guess I talk a little loud sometimes, And so now I can walk around the building. I can go, like a guy called me up today, and I could just run out to the bin and check it. He wanted a boring bin. I said, it's got a flat spot. It doesn't show in the picture. It's got a flat spot. Let me walk outside, and yes, it's got a flat spot.
Yeah.
So I kind of got mobility. So I'll be walking down the hall, and I can't walk down the hall, because every time I pass somebody else, hey Frank, hey Frank, hey Frank. It's like, I'm on the phone.
Just get you a little headset that you put on top of your head.
I do have that.
That says I'm on the phone, so it's like wobbles.
Flashes lights, right?
Like a banner, like those little reindeer ears you put on your head at like Christmas time. with the little springy arms.
I am so going to screenshot that for the next promotion. I'll tell you right now.
Hey, I got a funny story about that. I had a friend of mine that had this moose hat, and we were really young, and he used to wear it into the bar. These guys grabbed it off his head when he was at a pizza place, right? Some girl grabbed it and they started playing, throwing it around. So finally he got it. He took the whole piece of pizza and he pushed it in the girl's face.
Don't mess with his hat.
He comes running out of the pizza parlor and he says to my other friend in the car, hurry up. And the guys go, what's the matter? And they're throwing soda at the car and stuff like milkshakes. And the guy kept his car mint. He was a little pissed,
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Long enough you got these stupid stories of when you were a kid, I wasn't there.
Yeah.
That's how that one
Okay.
goes.
Yeah.
That's the guy, as a matter of fact, that was the guy who just called me before.
The shoes guy.
The shoes guy, that's him.
We've been talking a lot about different things over the past few weeks, and you guys, you've maintained really good quality and continuity with your product, and that's something that a lot of companies they can't say, both during the last 2 years as well as for the longest time. I mean, what do you guys do to be able to maintain that quality where others keep falling down?
Well, we do the best we can. We got a lot of great people working in the company. Most people have been there for a very long time, and once you're in there, it's a great place to work. The owners are great. The people that work there are great. And, I get a call from a guy that had a bit, and, you go around, I can't read the shank, I don't read the part number, or something like that. Send me a picture or something like that. You go through the book, and the bit that he bought in 1998 or 1988, the specifications are the same. It's for the woodworking tools that we've had for a long time, the raised panels and things like that. So there's not too much deviation in that at all. Right. So we try and keep that all together. So if a guy was doing something, building a kitchen, and now 20 years later he needs to match something, it's pretty much going to match, spot on. And then we have all the new stuff. The problem we run into is that certain things have gone out of, I don't say gone out of style, but they're not using them anymore, and that we're always innovating. As you can see, I can tell you what you said all the CNC bits, spirals, compression spirals, upcut, downcut, all those bits are just keeping increasing inside. Plastic bits, aluminum bits, ACM bits, for alpha bond, die bond, and the ones that haven't really increased that much are the woodworking bits.
Right.
It's like, for, casing bits and like raised crown molding bits and things like that. They're all the same size. They're all the same things. And, and like I say, I got them, we have to manufacture at least, 100 pieces to 250, 500 piece minimum to keep the price in the ballpark.
Right.
And if that's going to last us, 15 years, we're not going to do it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
When these other companies go out of, there are a couple companies that gone out of business a while back, and you couldn't get the parts anymore. And, we started making, I took a poll of about, 6 or 7 dealers throughout the whole United States. And I said, what's the most popular bit you sell? These Morrison bits.
Mm-hmm.
And we went around, and then, I said, okay, look, can you buy 15, 25, 100 of them, whatever. And then, when I polled, if everybody says, yeah, we'll buy 25, so now you get about 200-300. So I was able to keep the price down, and, we made them, and they still buy. Some of them, not as much as before. Because a lot of these, the other problem is a lot of these dealers, COVID hurt a lot of stores.
Mm-hmm.
COVID hurt a lot of mom and pop stores. The COVID hurt a lot of sharpening shops. I don't know if you've realized, guys, local sharpeners, that they retired and they don't have a son who's, son's a doctor or a lawyer and he doesn't want to get into feeding carbide dust all day long. They're out of business. Then you had all these venture capitalist guy come in and buy all these different dealers. They came in and they bought saw sharpeners, they bought tool stores, they bought all these up. They combined them together and then they started selling off pieces.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's like it's getting harder and harder to find a decent sharpener to sharpen your router bits or saw blades. A lot of guys tell me to just chuck them away.
Which is good business for you in a way, though.
Well, when I went to the show, I'd be selling saw blades in there. It's like, hey, listen, break all the bits you want because we'll make a lot more, It's like, and the guy says, I got 5 routers. You can never have enough routers. Buy another one. You don't have a 3.25, 3.5 horsepower quarter cable? Buy it. Oh, shucks, they're out of business now.
Yeah, good luck with that. I was about to say, yeah, you dropped the wrong name. Yeah, that was a name for industry, but forever. But now it's like you can't even find them. So,
I have to tell you, I don't think I would have ever seen that day coming. Being in woodworking as long as I have, I don't think I'd ever would have seen Porter Cable not being a household wood shop name. That's that's out of business. It's no longer there. That blows my mind.
I started, my tools are, people laugh at me, my tools are Rockwell. That was
wrong with that.
Porter Cable, and even Black & Decker was a name. I have a Black & Decker router. It was my grandfather's. It's only 1/4 inch shank, but it's like, it was the precursor that Bosch made it with the 2 good handles on the side.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was back when you had a tool manufacturer. They put pride behind their work,
right?
And then the everything sort of started venturing into China, and it went downhill from there. But that's a topic for another day. But and we've noticed that because of what we do and the people we talk with a lot with our customers, clearly some of your competitors or some of your it's not even really competitors. Some of the people who also offer tooling in the industry, they must be switching over to an inferior grade of carbide, or lightening up on their standards as far as their specs that the bits must be met prior to leaving their building. Because we've noticed an influx of people with complaints on quality and sharpness and accuracy and I mean, even me, I've experienced that on the CNC where other bits that I've used from different manufacturers that the shank was 8 to 10 thousandths less than what it was supposed to be, and that's not good.
Yeah. I haven't really heard too much of that, which I guess is okay. I mean, but it's hard to get people to work now too.
Mm-hmm.
There's problem filling the warehouses, like people in the warehouse. When I first started, I was a young guy, now I'm the old guy. But it's like customer service. Now it's more order entry. And they don't know because they're not. They just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like you grow up, but I'll say there's a lot of young kids who are really getting into woodworking. I have a nephew that he's a pharmacist and he's a teacher too at a college, but he got into woodworking a few years ago. He actually stole my table saw. He was pissed at that. But anyway, and he's done some. He got into turning too, so now he's got a second lathe and he's making pens and he's doing stuff, which is great. It's probably the genes and the blood in the family, I think. But he's a smart kid. But it's and there's a lot of guys that try. I see my neighbor next door. He's gotten into he's redoing his house and stuff. It's everybody they're learning. And now with YouTube, I mean, I never looked at YouTube. How to do this, how to fix that, fix your car, do all this. You can find anything you want now on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I just hope you find the right guy.
Yeah, that's the thing that's kind of challenging sometimes.
Yeah.
You might watch 4 or 5 until you find someone that actually knows a bit more about the subject than just I kind of fixed it with a hammer.
My
Yeah,
father used to kick the washing machine and start it up. Oh, it's good now, honey. You know.
and then you've got a lot of those folks who have a big YouTube channel or whatever, and they don't really have original content. They're just repeating what others have done. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't got into that too much. I should try and look at some. I always wanted to do something like here's what you shouldn't do. This is the mistakes that everybody makes. Don't do this.
like, start a podcast.
You're like, I don't know. I have to retire first. I got too much stuff I got to do, you know.
I always
But
hear
I
you get more
remember-
busy.
What?
I always hear you get more busy when you retire, though. So you got to be careful.
I know that's what my mother said. But this is getting kicked back. I did that for a couple guys. They knew what kickback was when I was building a crate for the to go to the shows. I had this piece of plywood shoot out about 10 feet like an arrow. And we had all these cardboard boxes behind it, and it just stuck in there like you could shoot an arrow into a thing. And it's going boing like this, you know? It's like, it's great. You want to behind that.
I like the premise on that, though. What not to do with Frank.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what not to do that. I think I told Chris this the other day. I was like, the Unknown Comic. I don't know if you remember him. He had this the brown paper bag and the old shopping bag over his head, and he would draw like the face on the bag, and he would tell jokes, and nobody knew what he really looked like the unknown idiot woodworker, you know, something like that.
Well, we've all got faces for radio, so that it kind of works with us. We kind of understand.
Works well. That's why we have a podcast. Yeah.
That's why I have a podcast. Really good looking son of a gun, you.
Oh goodness. Well, Frank, there's a lot of new stuff from Amana over the past few years. Tell us what's the difference between that blue Spectra coating and just a regular old Carbide bit.
Well, the regular old Carbide bit is still the regular old Carbide bit underneath the blue coating. Blue coating is a ceramic coating. So they coated it with ceramic, and there you go. And it helps protect the Carbide from heat buildup. Because heat buildup is the worst thing that is gonna destroy the Carbide. And that's and it gives a little bit of lubricity also. Pretty simple. And then the ZRN coating is more for the aluminum. So that gives a little bit more lubricity as you're cutting through the aluminum, and it helps, cut down on the wear and the heat buildup for the Carbide, so that makes the bit last longer there also.
So yeah, there is an advantage to that blue and the ZRN. So I mean, I can attest personally the Spectra coated bits. They do last considerably longer than the normal standard Carbide without the coating.
Yeah, we had a guy that when we first came out, we gave him some bits, and this guy had built two CNC machines by himself, and he's a manufacturer of the radiant heat, and I guess he was making the truss to put the radiant heat piping in. Mm-hmm. And he says he ran that, and he says the blue ones lasted, the Spectra coating lasted about 5 times longer than the regular one. Well, we didn't want to put 5 times because if it came up at 4.5, people would be blowing up, so like 2.5 times. So that worked out. That worked out well. That was a home run.
Yeah, I mean, I use quite a bit of the bits in my own shop. Anytime I get a chance, I prefer the Amana line because I can trust that the bit's going to be what it says it is, and I know the performance that I get out of it. So, we're just not having you on because you're just some tool guy. We like the brand, mm-hmm. and I've gotten to know you myself, over the years, and through shows and just working with you with the certain projects. And so, we definitely wanted to have you on just because you bring sort of a knowledge that the normal person wouldn't be able to. So
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, it's either you or that other guy that we know from Amana. So
He didn't want to do it.
No, he wanted to sit back and just enjoy this on his big screen is what he told us he was going to do.
Yeah, that's right. He's semi-retired now.
yeah, a salesman versus the actual technical guy. Yeah, we want the guy who's technical and understands. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Ooh.
Poor Chris. Now he's going to be like, oh, wait a minute.
Well, I wasn't going to name names, but you did it now. Thanks a lot.
Well, we already showed his name on the screen, so everyone knows who he is. Not much we can do about it now.
Yeah, and if you're watching this and you're thinking, "Oh, wow, you're bashing this other guy," no, we're not. Chris is a great guy. I've known him for years, and so it's more like family than it is just some guy that we barely know. So
there you go. See,
um,
got him to make a comment.
He was a great asset to Amana. When he came along at the perfect time for us too. Because he got a lot of knowledge in router bits, and he's helped a lot with writing emails and things like that. And he's just a handsome son of a gun.
That he is.
That he is.
So you've turned him into a secretary. That's what you've done. If he's writing out all your emails, you've turned him into a secretary.
No, he's not writing my emails. He's writing his emails. He's writing his emails to me. He said, Frank.
Oh, okay.
He always he's great. He always mentions my name. So this way they won't call him, they'll call me.
Right.
He's got it figured out.
He's got it figured out really well. Like he writes email to Chris. He says, Chris, talk to Frank, our technical director. You get done.
Well, he's just making sure he gets the customer to the exact source and gets the job done.
That's what he does. He relies on me all the time. But sometimes I get so stressed out, and they'll tell me not to razz him. Don't razz me, Frank. Don't razz me.
JP says at least he doesn't print off his emails and then write his responses on them. That's true. They're always personalized. I will say that. There is no canned response from that man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very much so. And then if you're watching this and you've got a technical question on any kind of bit, saw blade, or anything else from Amana tool, feel free to drop it here. And if it's after the fact and you happen to catch this, 6 months from now, still drop your comment on there. And if we can't answer it for you, I know how to get a hold of Mr. Frank there, and we'll get the answer you need.
That's right.
There you go.
But this way, at least you have a resource. If it's not a question that you need answered right this minute, to where if it's after the show, then by all means, we'll definitely get that to him and get that answer for you. That's not a problem. That'll be easy enough.
Yeah. And Frank's an easy guy to talk to, so it's it's always good. I always look for an excuse to give him a ring. I try to shoot emails because I know he's slammed. Every time I call him, say, Frank, what you up to? I'm working on this air conditioner now, or
Coming Monday. That one I got solved. Coming Monday. The new one today was the parking lot.
Sorry. Okay. So real quick, JP Brown asked, so drilling out countersinks with a Amana countersink bit with your drill in the hammer mode is a bad thing, right?
Right. Definitely right.
So JP, they're not going to warranty that. Sorry, buddy. The mistakes that we all make, though, there's nothing wrong.
Keep in mind, really, a lot of people say, I want to drill holes with a router bit. Router bits are really not meant for drilling holes.
Mm-hmm.
Like just plunging and just drilling holes. Like I want to do pegboard. It's like, nah, it's not such a good idea. You really need to get a drill, and then your machine really should be set up for, going as a drill speed, like, 36 to 4,600 RPM. Excuse me.
It's all that pizza.
Yeah.
Pizza. No, it was chocolate because I had to stay awake for this. I needed that little cocoa there to get me up,
He's going to be laying in bed at midnight. Those stupid podcast guys. They eat chocolate. Now I can't sleep.
No. I'll be out like a light. What are you kidding me?
Yeah, you talked about drilling. I just invested in a bunch of bits to do just that. and I'm still working on my design to do an official test. I bought a lot of dowel drills and the adapter from you guys, so I'm
Right.
looking forward to getting that test out there on the shop and seeing how that transpires.
And depending upon the material you cut, you might want to peck it a little bit too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
We
let's
have
see.
some solid carbide drill bits for drilling aluminum, I think, in the book too. I don't know if you saw those.
Hmm.
They're a little bit different. Like, plastic is a different story. The geometry for plastic drilling is different than an aluminum drilling. The angle of the bit changes.
Speaking of differences, so the AGE by Amana rail and bit set, JP says he has this. What's the difference from that set and the standard sets?
Well, pretty much the amount of stuff is made in Israel. AGE is German. It's German-made saw blades and bits. So basically, I would say the AGE is a little bit less expensive. And what I used to say is that we do more inspection tests with Amana than we do with the other lines. And Amana was always industrial, all right? AGE would have been contractor, homeowner, like Timberline was like that also. And, I mean, really, like we need 3 router bit lines because, if somebody doesn't want to pay $40 for a bit, then, they'll pay $35 for a bit, then they'll pay $20 for a bit or whatever it is. And the reason for that is that when you're working in a shop in an industrial application, you got one guy working on a bit, he stays in the box, and that's good. If for AGE, you got a contracting job, and they forgot to put like a windowsill edge on a windowsill, so the guy's going to buy a round over bit, like a 3-inch radius round over bit. Then after that, he's going to drop in his toolbox, and that's his for the rest of his life, where the contractor or the owner just paid for it. Mm-hmm. So, but they're still good. They're all made to the manufacturer. They're all made to the specs, to the Amana specs, our bits. So a lot of times you can find some of the bits if you're doing a one-off project that you're not going to use it again. You probably get away with buying an AGE bit or an Amana bit or a Timberline bit. I'm sorry, and you can get away with it.
So to have a lifetime bit, you would look at something like an Amana, pay a little bit more.
Definitely.
Is the Carbide going to be different? What's going to make it to be a lifetime bit versus a contractor bit?
Well, the Carbide will be a little bit different grade of cars, micrograin Carbide, and probably like the steel, pretty much. I really don't know exactly what goes in, and I shouldn't say that I don't know, but it's what goes into that stuff. I know that I was been to the factory, and when they do the inspection tests, they might bypass some little thing that they look at the amount of one 10 times, and they'll look at the AGE's a different factory, and they'll look at it maybe 5 times, something like that, just to make sure. You might get a little imperfection, but we're pretty tight on inspections, and really not too much. The worst thing that happens is sometimes they put the wrong bit, or they'll mark the wrong bit. I'll get that once in a blue moon. They'll put a different part number on a bit, and the cut length is supposed to be 1.5 inches. It ends up being 1.25 inches. So instead of being a 45/420, it's a 45/418, something like that. And they're like, "Oops!" So you'll get like a box of those. But that's an easy fix.
Mm-hmm.
Take care of that.
That's a good question, JP. Thank you for that.
And sometimes the grind is different. Where Amana might have a radial grind, and the Timberline might have a straight grind. Back grind. So you'll get more speed and feed out of one than the other. But the other one will go faster. Something like that. There's a lot of different intricacies, especially with the relief angles. I mean, if you look at some of the spirals for plastic, the old spirals for plastic and aluminum, you can see there's a lot of relief angles on those.
Yeah. Well, and you got to make those where they'll not only evacuate the chips, but
Right.
Also, leave the edge where it's all not all gnarly. Especially if it's an upcut bit. I mean, typically those are going to leave the top surface a little worse. But the way you have to design those is even on an upcut bit, you're getting a very clear shear on the edge and a nice clean result on the top.
Right, and the coating also helps on that too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I hope come tomorrow you're still employed.
Who, me?
Yeah, because it just said that JP said, "Man, Frank just went to town on that question." Thanks, Frank.
Is that a good one? All right, glad I could
Well,
help.
that's a good thing. Yeah. Well, we know that there's certain things that you're able to say, and some things where you don't know whether you should say it or not, because you're on the inside of certain things that might be trade secrets that we have zero clue are, because we know there's certain
No,
are in
they
there.
don't let me know.
Oh,
It's easy to tell,
That's why he didn't know what that one steel was and what the grades.
Yeah, you
and
weren't
all that.
exactly sure.
Yeah, I don't know what's
No,
in
no,
that
no.
pit
I wasn't
mix,
sure.
but,
Microvein, Carbide, C4, C3, C2, C1, blast off, right?
Chris Miller has a good one. Answer why you might need an upcut instead of a downcut.
Hey, Chris, that's a great question. Why don't you answer that yourself?
Hey, Chris, why don't you look back about 2 episodes? I think we covered that.
Well, for those who weren't here,
there you go.
Upcut pulls the chips up and out, and downcut pushes them down towards the table and the spool board, so you won't get chipping on the top, and hopefully the spool board will protect it so you won't get chipping on the bottom. There you go.
And the compression does both at the same time.
Right, but remember, with compression, you always have to go on the first pass deeper than the upcut portion of the bit. So if you want to go, like, say you have a 1/2 inch bit and you want to go down 1/4 inch, you want to use a mortising compression, because the upcut portion of that might be only 1/8 of an inch or 3/16. But you got to go below that depth of cut, because otherwise it's going to chip the top anyway.
Interesting.
Yeah, I get this question quite a bit whenever I have a customer saying they're using an upcut bit in a router table, and it gets confusing when you say your upcut pulls the shavings up and your downcut pushes the shavings down. Well, when you invert that router, it throws people's mind off. So one of the ways I've kind of started talking to customers about that concept is up towards the router. So no matter which way you have the router, it's pulling the shavings towards the router as an upcut, or down is pushing it away from the router. So, it's when you're dealing with customers, and you and I talked, on the phone, about about that concept, about some of the funny stories that you've experienced over the past few years or over your many years in this job. And Mike and I have quite a few of those on our own, but that kind of gave us some thoughts. Maybe share us a couple stories, and some of the funny stories, and obviously the names will be changed for their protection.
Funny stories.
I'm thinking of the one that has the bent shank.
Oh, you think
Yeah.
That's not? There's more than one.
No, I'm sure.
One time, a guy called me up. He says, "Hey, we got this bit. I want to send it back to you. The shank was bent." And I was like, "The shank is bent? How could the shank be bent?" Now, when the bits come over from the factory in Israel, they come in a box. There could be 100 in a box, or whatever, depends upon what it is. And then the girls take them. They check to make sure that there's the right part number etched on the bit. That it's got the wax on it to protect the carbide edge. It goes into a pouch. They put the part number on the pouch so everything matches up. It goes into a bin, and then naturally in any warehouse bin, the location comes out when the ticket picks. It goes on. The girl checks it out, puts it on a line. It's a procedure how it works in Amana. And then it goes on a line, and it comes down, and then the packer pulls it, and he checks it, to make sure that there's the right bit, and the part number, and then he counts to how many, puts it in a box, puts it in a bag, wraps it up. We got in a bit, and then they put it in a package, and then the label goes on and goes out the door. Guy sends a bit back, and I'm looking at the package. The package looks brand new. The shank is bent at a 45-degree angle. And I'm looking at this, and I'm saying to myself, the wax is still on it. He says, that's the way we got it. So I call him back. I says, you sure you didn't drop this when you put it in the router? Yeah, I kind of did. It's like, okay, that's all right.
You do it long enough, you can figure out the. You can be kind of a detective. Yeah.
I have another one of a 3/4 inch shank that I guess it was an insert tool, and the guy never checked it to make sure that the inserts were tight or whatever, or somebody must have changed inserts. He put it in the machine, in the CNC, and he turned the CNC on. It threw the knife out.
Ooh.
It was actually a high-speed steel knife. It's a long time ago. It threw the knife out, and I guess it wobbled, right? The shank bent at a 45-degree angle, and he sent it back to me. He sent it back with the collet and the nut, but not the tool holder. So I pulled the bit out of the collet, and on the bit, when it bent, the steel on the shank was embedded into the fins of the collet.
Ooh.
And I saved that because I was like, this is great. How could this happen? Well, I figured out how it happened.
So is it a souvenir somewhere in the shop, or did you have to send it back?
No, it's in my office.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I should have brought it.
When he retires, that's the paperweight that's going home with him.
No. I got too many paperweights around here. Look, there's one. That's a rock from Crazy Horse in South Dakota.
Are you allowed to take that for good luck?
I paid for it.
Oh, then you're good to go.
Yeah, I paid for it.
Yeah, there was a guy outside with a long jacket, and he said, "Hey, I got a rock if you're interested." And he sold. He bought it for $10. Yeah.
Crazy Horse.
No, they were pretty good with that. They had a whole bin there, and it's like they just asked for a donation. So you throw $10 in the box, you take a rock or two, and just took it home.
I think I just figured out Frank's retirement plan.
What's that?
Just sit out there with a box and, hey, give me a donation. I'll give you a rock.
Free donation.
JP said, what is the preferred method of removing the wax from a new bit?
Oh, JP, I usually take my fingernail and take it off. Some people just put it on the router and just hit it with a piece of wood and it flies off. But, I prefer to just take a knife and cut it off. Very carefully.
That'll work. That's usually what I do is just, razor blade straight down and then just peel it enough to get the bone broken.
Just watch your fingers because, man, I had a nasty cut when I slipped off one time and just put a nasty cut on my finger.
Yeah, I see a comparison video in your future, JP. You said, okay, Frank said we could just tear it off. He said we could cut it off, or he said we could just run it on wood and see what happened. So I see a future video in your for
what not
doing
to
that
do.
test.
What not to do with Frank, yeah. JP's going to test what not to do.
He's going to time it, and he's going to run it in slow motion so he can say officially, okay, this is the fastest method. This is the method that worked best, and this is the method you don't want to try.
Yeah, the easiest one is to do is like usually there's a method like when you have a round over bit, I go around and cut the circle off the bottom first, and then I run the razor blade down along the carbide on each side, and then you'll just peel right off.
Oh, there you go. Any tips for storing or organizing bits from Mr. Kyle Ely?
Man, you could do a lot with that, You could have a drawer. You could put little, holes in it. We have I don't like the fact of putting it in plastic or wood because if you get if it gets damp in there, the wood swells and then it's hard to pull them out, and that's another way to cut your fingers. But you can put them in a drawer and line them up, stack them. Sometimes you can put them on a shelf.
Kaizen
foam. So is there any rusting issues? Like as far as the shanks, I mean, is there anything to, okay, so JP Brown's in Mississippi, so he's going to have a little bit more humidity.
Yes. So basically, after he uses his router bit, I would say just put a little oil on it, and so because the oil from your fingers, like if you hold that bit for a while, if he does, the oil from your fingers, you put it down, even on a saw blade, you'd get a fingerprint on a saw blade because the oil will go there. So usually we take a little oil in a spray bottle, and I'll wipe the blade down and put it back in the box. I prefer the blades in the box as opposed to the blades in the clamshell because it's a good place to store them.
There you go. And I did that on purpose. Yes, I know. You're from Alabama.
Alabama. I've been to Alabama. Auburn University.
I was going to say, hence the Auburn. That's why I like to mess with him.
He's from Auburn?
No, he just has that on his profile picture there.
Yeah,
I
you
was
should be
there in
an Alabama fan. 1971.
That was the first gas shortage. We drove from New York. I had a friend of mine going to school there.
That precedes Mike and I, so
we don't know of that gas shortage. Heard about it, seen the pictures in the history books. But JP said he graduated from Auburn, so.
Attaboy. Go War Eagles.
So many ways I could have taken that. I'll just let that ride. Yeah. I'll leave JP alone. He's a good guy. So, all right. Is there any other questions out there?
He's got to be a nice guy to listen to you guys.
Well, he's just patient.
Oh, is he good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just says War Eagle, my friend.
Attaboy. Hey, he's got a little tiger there, too. Nice.
Yeah, I'll leave that for you. There you go.
There you go.
I always figured that was his real day job was a mascot, but then I learned it wasn't. He's an IT.
Well, I thought that was Clemson.
Oh, I know better than that one.
Oh, my goodness. Well, what else we got for you, Frank? Anybody got any other questions?
I don't know, man. Some funny stories?
Yeah. Patience, he just ignores us.
We're used to that. I'm married. I've got 3 daughters, so I'm used to being ignored for a long time now. So
I got to return a saw blade that broke in half. It was burnt to a crisp. It's just like, what did you do with this thing? It's like, you'd be surprised at what people try and do.
So how exactly did it break in half and burn?
It was, he heated it up. It was like blue black.
Oh, wow.
It heated up and it split. I never saw that before in my life.
Wow.
He was trying to make a knife out of it. I could understand it and then failed at it or whatever, but
actually,
reason.
I did have a dealer that was a saw sharpener, but he made knives. He was from Alaska, and he was on that Forged and Fire, and he won with the 3 guys when he was there.
Cool.
I thought that was pretty cool. Nice guy. It's like, yeah, you charge you $600 for a knife. It's like,
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, a lot of those guys, those knives from those guys, I mean, they can cut the side of an airplane and still slice a tomato. It's amazing what they make.
And the way they put it in, they heat it up and stuff like that. That was pretty cool, that show. Like watching that.
Yeah, I don't understand. I'll sharpen the knives and I'll be able to have them razor sharp. I bring them in here and, in a week she goes, hey, these knives are dull. We need to sharpen them again. What are you cutting concrete? It's in one of those infomercials where look at a whopper chopper and it'll slice through concrete and still cut a tomato.
Why don't ours do that? Where is Amana's next trade show appearance? We were just talking about this off air.
Probably, we're hoping it's going to be Atlanta.
There you go. You heard it here first.
Next August, I think it is.
Next August? Okay.
Yeah, this past July was AWFS in Vegas, and then what's next year? The even years, the shows is the International Woodworking Fair is in Atlanta, and then on the odd years it's the AWFS show in Vegas.
So, yep, IWF would be August next year.
Yeah, probably. It's usually like the third week of August.
Okay, so since you've been working these shows a long time, which do you like better sitting on the West Coast? Do you like it better in Vegas or like it better when it was in California?
Oh, really? I'd probably say I liked California a lot at the beginning because everything was close, and all of us stayed in those two hotels there. The Marriott, I can't remember what the other one. We stayed in the other one. It's a Hilton or what? And all the vendors, all the other sales guys, you'd all meet in the bar, and you could commit some dinner and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Vegas is really. I like Vegas though, because I always used to stay at the Hilton, which was the Westgate or that, because you could walk to the show. First time I went, I had to stay at the Flamingo. The first year that it was there. And the problem is I'm the show coordinator. So I had to get there early and set it up, and then I had to stay late and take it down. And I remember that first year, I was like, I'm never doing this again, because by the time I got my stuff, it was like 2 in the morning. And I had to find thank God there was one taxi cab outside. He must have been waiting for me. And he had took me back to the hotel because I wasn't going to ride the tram back at 2. And I'm from New York, but I was so tired. It just didn't work out. And back then, I remember one Atlanta show, I didn't get my crate or my box until 1:30 in the morning. And it was just, everything was closed. And it was like, I don't like any shows, to be honest with you. It's like, it was pretty difficult to do that. And the only reason is that when I first started with Amana, we did a show in McCormick. It was the hardware show. So we had packed up. I was a sales guy at the time. And we packed up the show, and then we were never going to get the box. So we figured, let's go back to the hotel, get some dinner, and then we'll come back early in the morning before our plane would leave and pack it up. When we got back there early in the morning, half of our booth was gone. Half of the tools were gone. Ooh. So, and the owner threw a hissy fit. Kind of like, really not at me, was the guy who was my position before I was. And after that, VP of Sales says, you don't want to lose any more tools. I said, all right, well, this is the case then. Mm-hmm. So, and then I used to let everybody, once we got packed up, like some of the sales guys, I would let them go home. Like they'd take the red eye that night. But I always stayed because I had to make sure that, because I never knew what time we were going to get, the stuff. It had gotten better over the years, and I streamlined it a lot better so that, I would make sure my booth, I could hide certain stuff underneath so that while they were putting up the carpets, we could pack all the bits so they wouldn't, get chipped or anything like that. And then when the crate came around, we had made a crate, and it was great. And I just shoved everything in there, and I locked the door and sent it back. One time, the crate, we were diagonally across from one of our competitors, and the crate got sent to our crate got sent to his place, got put on his truck. Now, I don't know if that was a ploy. They didn't open it up, but one of the guy called me up and says, hey, Frank, we got your crate. I said, yeah, just send it back yellow freight. Thanks a lot for telling me. He says, next time I see you, I'll buy you a beer. That's where you're at. I was like, and most of us, we're all friendly with each other, pretty much, I mean, look, everybody's got to eat, right?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Chris and I talked about that one time, just the whole trade show circuit. It's a circus behind the curtain. All the different people who are coming in there doing carpets, doing curtains, doing booth separation, making sure you have your badges. I mean, there's just so much going on that the people who attend it have no idea. And then as a trades show person, loading up, securing, putting it all away, like you try and do it as fast as you can. But at the same time, you got to work around other people and where they're at the same time.
Well, those people that set the show up, man, they're working all year now to get to IWF. So, they put in a lot. They get to the show like in Vegas. I know I've gotten to know a lot of the people that do the shows, and they would be there a week and a half before and a week and a half after, and plus a week of the show. So they're there for a whole month, because they got to make sure everything is perfect and everything is going boom, 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 boom. Because there's a lot of logistics to put these shows on. So I didn't get this booth and this and that, and I didn't get the right table. I ordered a round table. You gave me a square table, and
Oh yeah, then you got I had power. I had 220 power. There's so many things that go into just to fill out the paperwork. It's pretty crazy.
And then they come around and says, "Hey, you didn't buy power." Well, I must have forgotten.
Oh, are you sure? I'll have to go look for my contract. I don't know where I put it. It's somewhere here. Yeah.
I have a binder with me of all the things that I paid for.
Hey, John, you didn't buy power. This guy's complaining that we didn't pay for power. What's going on? He said the check's in the mail. I don't know what's happening.
That is the truth. And then they're like, well, if you want power, it's an extra $500 or whatever. And it's like, oh, no, I got the paperwork somewhere. Let me find it. Yeah. Trade show fun.
Yeah, and it's like, well, how much power do I need to power my booth? Well, now with LEDs, you don't need that much anymore either.
True. Very true.
Give me one strip,
Yep.
Then you take 2 extension cords in there, and then all of a sudden, I can't remember when I first started, there was no cell phones. So nobody had to plug their cell phone or iPad in,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, then they wanted to get you for the computer so you could check your inventory, and then when the cell phone came, they were calling the office, and it's like, and that's the other thing too at the shows, we're not selling to the end users, but all the end users come by and they want to see the product. Can I get this here? Psst, go over there behind the curtain. See that guy Joe. See the wizard over there.
Oh man.
And then who smoked and who didn't smoke? Frank, you gotta find me a booth close to where I can smoke. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. It's like. So then behind the curtain there was a little room that you put the boxes in, and a guy being there smoking, and you could see the smoke just coming out like a chimney. What's going on back there? Don't worry about it. No need to see that guy.
Don't worry about that guy.
Or they come by, but where's it? He's out having a smoke. Where is he? He's out having a bathroom. He never showed up for the whole show, but we just told him he wasn't here. He's here, but he's around someplace.
Yeah, we just saw him not too long ago.
That's the only thing I hate about the shows. It's like a guy would come by the booth and he would see me talking to somebody and he'd wave, and I was like, "No, come back. He's just a rep. I need to talk to you. You need to buy something. How about this nice display?"
There you go. Yeah, we know that. We know that really well. As far as you're talking to someone, it could be friendly. It's not necessarily a sales position. Right. And then, you see somebody and they wave and it's like, okay, I'll catch you next round.
I'll be back tomorrow. They never come back.
Yeah. Or they do, but it's like 2:00 in the afternoon because they decided to stay up way too late the night before. Then they forgot what it was they came to talk to you about. Yeah, I've had that a couple times.
One time came by at the end of the show as we're packing up. And I was really pissed. And I wanted to get all this stuff packed up because I tell you, the first maybe 10 years, I don't think we used to go to the staff the show. I never made the closing party. I never got to eat dinner. You know what I mean? At the end of the night, it's like, I just want to make sure all my stuff was packed in the box and everything was safe. Got my labels on the box and I got my stuff into the papers to hand in, and it was all said and done. And a guy comes by and he's talking about, and he was never going to buy anything. He was just one of those guys, and he wanted to know, okay, what iron, where did the iron come out of the ground for the saw blade? Something like that. It's almost like I got a friend who's an engineer working on nuclear power plants, and they had to have where the minerals came out of the ground for everything that they made to put into the power plant. I mean, it's like this thick of, like resources so they could like find out all the history if there was a failure or something like that. It's pretty intense stuff. That and building hospitals is real hard because there's so much mechanics in the hospital. The air and electric and all that other stuff. But it's pretty intense. But I tell you, like I said, customers are always nice. People are nice, and you never know what you're going to get every day. And even if a guy is not like comes across tough and stuff, you can just calm him down in a heartbeat, tell him a joke or something like that. One time, a guy called me up, and he was doing a style and rail door, and he was going on. It's off 0.0002. Finally, after talking to her for 15, 20 minutes, I said, "You wouldn't happen to be an engineer, would you?" There was like 10 seconds of silence, and the guy starts laughing. He goes, "How did you know that?" I said, "Well, you're from Connecticut. You probably work for Pratt & Whitney." He goes, I did. He goes, "I'm over designing this, aren't I?" I says, "You are over designing." we had a good laugh after that, because wood shrinks, expands. It's like It's gonna be okay. You're gonna be all right.
Yeah, no, we've run into that quite a bit as far as someone, trying to get these joints to match up with absolutely no lines.
Right.
And they're doing it on the edge grain, and they're doing it widthwise on something. And Chris and I have to have such a calming way to say, well, wood moves, to engineers who aren't thinking that. They're thinking, no, it's going to be this way. It's always going to come out exact. And it's like, 5 months later, they're all breaking. Why are they breaking? What did I do wrong? And it's like, well, wood moves. And they just don't think of it that way. Engineers overshoot that one. I 100% agree with that.
Well, I got the cabinet builders and you look at like a door, like, and it goes like this, right? It's like, it shouldn't be this much of a gap. What moves? Not that much,
That's what they make wood filler for.
That's right. Just leave it out in the sun for a few hours. It'll dry out.
Yeah. What's your moisture content here? 8% or 4%?
Well, it started out at 25.
Yeah.
I just got it out of the flood.
We had a flood here the other day,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that would explain why everything's doing what it's doing. But so as a technical person, what is your go-to starting question whenever you get on the phone with a customer? They have an issue. What is your first question to start your line of questioning in your flow chart?
I'm sorry, what was your name? Oh, good to know you. Thank you for calling. And then we say, so tell me, what's the part number you're using? Well, it depends. They'll start talking right through a lot, So I was like, I usually answer the phone, "Hi, this is Frank. How may I help you?" Or "Good morning, good afternoon,"
Mm-hmm.
And they'll start, "Hey, I got this." And then when he takes a pause, I'm like, "Sorry, what was your name?" "Okay, now what was the part number?" Just to get them going.
Start it that way. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not the guy you need to talk to. Let me get you. It's Chris Miller.
How'd you get my name? Chris Miller told me to call you.
He said you'd be the one to answer all my questions.
So I was like, "Did I talk to you?" I was like, "When did you call?" "Yesterday." "I'm sorry, I wasn't here, but I guess you got me now. What can I do for you?" It's like, and then we got the problem now is not that the problem. Now we have an issue now is that it's not only the phone calls, it's the emails.
Mm-hmm.
And the emails are and I'm the slowest typer in the world, but and a lot of times I was like, just send me your phone number or call me, because I can't be typing 1,000 words just to get one question.
Mm-hmm.
I like to speak to the guy because I get more information out of speaking to him, and they're more free to talk to me about it and tell me exactly what the problem is instead of going back and forth to email, because then and then the girl will be like, "Frank, line 2, the thing, so you keep going. Like, well, just put them on hold and hang on." It was really hard during the pandemic when I had to work from home for a couple of weeks or months. It was horrible because everything got transferred to my cell phone. I couldn't put anybody on hold. And, if I needed a dimension, I'd have to call, one of the guys in the office, because there's only one guy in the office. And if he was busy doing something else, and it's like, I don't know how hard it was like that. It's like, you're calling somebody, they're busy working, but, they don't get back to you for an hour. And I'm sitting here saying, I got to get back to this guy, because I really like to get everybody an answer right then and there. So this way, it's not going back and forth. Yeah. The email ones are a little bit harder, because the questions now, the questions are getting more into, I'm in your veteran program, and we're doing this, and why are you having this, and why is this, and why is that, and I didn't do the veteran program, so I'm not able to get in there. That's one thing I can't do. So I said, we need an IT guy that can answer the veteran stuff right now. I can tell you all about everything else,
Yeah,
and they come in and say, how do you make a door?
Yeah. There's a video on YouTube. Just Google how to make a raised panel door, and it'll give you 1,000 options to choose from.
They don't really like that. I gotta, kind of tell them.
They call Frank. They want him to know. Kyle says, does Frank have an email so we can send follow-up questions? And JP Brown says he's an IT guy.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. Oh, you'd be surprised. On a tech guy, they're calling me for all the computer stuff. I'm like, no, that's not me. Because they think when they say technical, it's right. Like for the phones and the computer, and we want Magento and this and that. Like, what's Magento? I don't know what that is.
Well, let's see. I've got a question. How many appliance phone calls do you get?
I have to say, I probably have gotten 3 in the last couple of months, and I've gone a couple of years without getting any.
Wow.
But lately I've gotten 3 in the last couple of months, which is kind of funny. But I would probably say that maybe I've gotten less than 10 since I've been there. So you don't really get that many. I don't get that many. So when I get them, I'm like, I get all excited, Today, a guy called me from a roof in Denver. He says, what do they have those things there? The little oil burners out there. The heat pump wasn't working. What?
Oh, no, that's what I was going to say, the heat pump.
Yeah, the heat pump wasn't working. But then when I called them back, he said, hey, thanks for calling me back. So we got into talking about heat pumps. I love the calls where, you helped me 2 years ago or a couple of years ago, and now I got another problem. And it's really funny that I'll remember the guy.
Yep.
Because usually when a guy calls with a problem, I'm on the phone for 15, 20 minutes, and then I be like, get off the phone. Get off the phone. I got 3 backed up. He'll wait.
You'll wait.
He'll wait.
If they really want the answer, they'll wait. Frank, what's the difference between an Amana countersink bit 55229 and 55227?
I don't know.
Neither are to be used in a hammer drill. That's what I can tell you.
Yeah.
No, they can't. Right. 55227. And the 229. It's probably the I'd say it's the drill bit diameter and maybe the countersink diameter. One might be 3. The 227 might be 3/8, and the 229 might be a 1/2 inch with a different drill bit. I don't have a catalog here because Chris told me I didn't need any of that stuff.
Chris Miller, that is. Chris Miller. We'll blame it on Chris Miller.
No. Chris Miller.
Well, that's your first problem. You listen to me.
Yeah. I'll know next time.
Oh, good. There'll be a next time. Yeah. Follow-up podcast with Frank. Yeah. What not to do with Frank ×2.
Yeah, we'll make that the whole topic of the night. We'll have Frank back on, and we'll call it "What Not to Do with Frank." We'll help you get started on your podcast. We'll launch it for you right here on the Whatnot podcast.
I love it.
What not to do?
What not? There you go.
See, he's already on to it right there.
Yeah, there you go.
Hang on, I'm going to tell you that was the 55229. Is that correct, Amana?
Yep, 55229 and 227.
All right, don't want
Chris
to
is
look
gonna
at it on that
Google that.
website. So give me just a moment.
So while he's doing that, Frank, I do have to ask: are you a roundover guy or a chamfer guy?
Oh, shut up.
Well, what are we talking about?
Just the overall profile. Would you rather see a roundover or a chamfer?
Oh, I'm probably round over.
My
Yeah.
man.
There you go.
All right. Finally, there's 2 of us out of 1,000.
There you go. Why? Most people chamfer?
Most people are chamfer
Why?
because it's just better. It's superior in every way.
I can answer this for Frank, so he doesn't even have to. The 55229 has a 530 seconds. It's a 3/8 by 530 seconds. The 55227 is a 3/8 by 1/8.
Yeah, it's a different drill bit.
Yep, he said different drill bit size, different diameter.
There you go.
There you go.
So I got you back, Frank. You
Is it a
redeemed it with
tapered? Is
round
it
over.
tapered or slow spiral?
Oh God, you're killing me here, Smalls. It is the carbide tipped 82-degree countersink with the adjustable depth stop and no thrust ball bearing. 3/8 diameter by 530 seconds drill diameter by 1/4 inch quick release hex shank.
Yeah, but what's the drill bit?
I don't know. It doesn't say. Replacement drill. Hang on.
Is it slow spiral?
Yeah, it looks like a traditional drill bit.
Yeah.
Replacement drill bit is 630-230, which is.
Oh, JP likes roundovers too. There's another one.
Oh, no, wait a minute. I thought he was on Team Chamfer.
He was on Team Chamfer. That's all right.
Yeah.
Switch.
I see. He's switching because of Frank. I'll take it. Whatever we got to do.
Yeah. No, we just enjoy that question. It was something that Chris and I always just jokingly go back and forth.
So how many chamfer guys you got?
So
Much
far,
more.
all but 2, me and you. We're the only roundover guys. But I'll take
It
it.
happens. Next episode, Chris reads tool product descriptions to kids for Christmas. Yeah, I was thinking, I literally was going to say, hey, by the way, Amana, not sponsored, but Chris is knocking this one out of the park.
Yeah, we welcome that, though. Not sponsored, but hey, we're here.
Maybe.
Hey, you know what? I should start asking guys when they call in, are you a roundover guy or a chamfer guy?
It's a fun conversation to have.
Yeah.
It really is, just to find out which they like better.
I never ever thought about that.
Yeah, because I mean, you have the OGs and then you have roundover OGs and all that, but just the simplest profile of roundover or chamfer is really an interesting conversation to ask, or just a talking point.
I should have said I'm a Roman OG.
Yeah. We need a team chamfer, team roundover challenge.
It'd be kind of tough. Me and Frank by ourselves. Well, and I guess
Was
JP, depending
this
on
guy,
what he
was he on last week or 2 weeks ago?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kyle was, and then
Yeah.
JP was as well. He was on a little while ago, but yeah, OG is in OG.
Mm-hmm.
But you're a gangster.
I always think of it as original gangster, though. I ain't gonna lie.
Well, if he's a Roman OG, I mean, that could be a different story too altogether. Who knows?
I'll see. There you go. Yep, John's all about
Yeah.
the chamfer.
We know, John. What side of that coin does Michelle fall on? Chamfer or roundover? Let me guess. You're going to answer for her and say chamfer. That's okay. We understand. Anyway, well, you know what? This guy's got to get up early in the morning and go back
Yeah.
to work.
Well, I can't sleep. I can't sleep now because now this roundover chamfer thing is like, how about just a straight saw cut? You know what I mean? Jesus,
Yeah.
straight down the middle.
He's going to be laying in bed tonight just thinking, well, am I really a team roundover?
Or am I a V groove kind of guy?
There you go. That would be chamfer. I would count that as chamfer.
How about a double roundover? Nice.
Be okay
I'm
if you went with OG.
Yep. So yeah,
Oh,
we'll
good
find
time.
out. If you want to find out if Frank changes his mind, tune in next week.
Yeah, really. Where's Chris Miller? Did he answer that question?
No, he probably fell asleep.
Chris Miller, all he does is pin turning.
Cove. There you go. That's a good one.
Cove's a good
Yeah.
one.
So, well, I tell you what, this has been fun. I really enjoyed it, and this is kind of, we didn't want it to be like 100% all Mr. Technical, blah blah blah. We like to just, relax a little bit and chat it up. And we appreciate you sharing some stories and coming on and hanging out with us tonight, Frank.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me. Listen, I'm going to go look tomorrow and see which we sell more of, chamfer bits or round overs.
There we go. That's going to answer it for us.
Wait a second now. The other thing is, I don't know, 3/8 radius roundover is probably the, and you know what? It's probably why I said when I first started working for Amana, I went into Woodworkers Warehouse. Remember that company?
Mm-hmm.
Golf Day and Woodworkers Warehouse. They were based out of Boston. I can't remember what the name of the Trend Lines it was called. Did you know them? Remember them?
I know Joe that worked in the store from Boston. He mentioned Woodworkers Warehouse.
So anyway, this guy had like a rack of all 3/8 radius roundovers with a 1/4 shank from every manufacturer, like all different colors. And I thought that was a cool idea.
That is a cool idea.
So I started collecting them because I was like,
You drill holes in
roundovers. I guess that was it, because that was the most popular roundover bit back in '98.
You could drill holes in all your rocks and have them displayed on top inside your rock there, so you could have your rock on your desk and your roundover on top of it.
No. I have a nice 1-inch thick acrylic block. Just put them in there. Probably all rusted now. I don't even know where they have. They're probably buried in my garage someplace. I probably used them for something.
There you go. I was gonna say you probably went out the door for $1 to the next person who came in line.
And I know where they are. They're in the closet over there.
Chris Miller goes with a roundover. It's official.
Atta boy, Chris. Stay on the Amana team. I'll send you a cookie tomorrow.
So I'm going to wait on that email from you sometime this week, Frank, about what bit sells more, roundover or chamfer, and I'll share that next week.
The problem I have to think of is that I can't add up all the different roundovers.
Why not? Got a calculator?
Yeah. But I have time.
It would be interesting to see.
It'd be interesting to see, but what's chamfer? 45, 30, 60, 11.5? Do you have a preference?
As long as it's chamfer.
Now it's all the chamfer bits.
Yeah, see, that's where it kind of throws I wouldn't, honestly, I don't think I would include a V. I think it has to have that bearing to make it a true chamfer.
A bearing bit, right? So
yep,
a bearing chamfer, a bearing roundover. All right.
No.
Write that down on my little pad of things to do tomorrow.
His boss is going to come by his office and be like, "What are you doing? I need to find out if it's chamfer or roundover is number one."
Chris wanted to say, "Hey, you going to tell him?" I was like, "Nope." It's like, "Nope."
Well, you could go in and ask your boss and say, "Hey, I was talking with the guys last night, and he knows me, so just say, hey, he had this question. Maybe you can answer it, and then put that on to him and let him answer that question." Hey, what's the most popular bit we sell, chamfer or roundover?
I'd probably say roundover.
In woodworking?
Roundover.
Yeah.
In woodworking, probably so.
Because a roundover doubles as a roundover and a step round. So you can use it for both.
You mean as a beading bit?
A beading bit or a little step
you can't.
Roundover.
I wouldn't count the beading. It is a roundover, but I can't count the beading in there. I just want to go with roundover.
Well, no, I mean, but you can take a regular roundover and just lower the depth a little bit and create that little step and then get a roundover. So in my opinion, a roundover is a little more versatile, where you can go with just a simple easing of the edge, or you can drop it down and create just a simple little profile.
Right, and if you put a smaller bearing on that, you get the step on the bottom too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. There is more versatility there, but as far as just a quick buzz around perimeter for like cutting boards, for instance, that's where it all really started. JP says he might make a video making a roundover and stopping it in the middle, then make a chamfer, and then watch the comments section explode.
There you go. Challenge.
Well, you see, the roundover people are more complicated because the chamfer bits are just, and that's it. Mm-hmm. They got no time for anything else. You need more to think things out because you can go two different ways.
Yeah, us roundover people are a little more technical minded, I guess. You know.
Maybe so.
Oh my gosh! Well, this has been a blast, and I never expected anything different, Frank. Every time I've chatted with you, it's always been fun. So, again, we do appreciate you coming on, and you know, I don't know if you got permission from Amana to be here, or if you just
Nope.
kind of did it
This
on
is
your
not an
own.
Amana. This is not an Amana thing, is it?
No,
No.
this is
So, yeah.
this is Frank. You just happen to work for Amana, and you're wearing a shirt that says Amana, so you know, yeah. Try the other side. There you go.
There you go. Yeah.
Thought you were pledging allegiance there for a second.
I got some. So yeah, this is not in any way, shape, or form sponsored by Amana, but by all means, it could be.
Mhm. Chris Miller.
Chris Miller, yeah. No, we joke. We enjoy joking with Chris 100% because he brings donuts. You know, you got to joke with the guy who
He
brings.
brings donuts, huh?
Well, let's
Yeah.
don't get carried away. We haven't seen donuts in a long time, Chris Miller.
That's because it's COVID. He's not traveling.
No comment.
I've,
Actually, what do I know? I haven't
I've-
been there in 6 months. I
listen,
don't know.
I've met him in the parking lot a couple times. So, you know.
Hey, let's not go down that road.
Yeah, I was gonna say we don't need to know about those donuts. Chris says liar. We just like to keep him awake. You know, make sure he's still with us.
No, the last time I saw him, he came in. He looked like he lost about 40 pounds and barely fit into his clothes anymore.
He's working out.
Hanging out all over him.
He probably went to a concert. Ask him how the concert was.
Maybe
Okay.
I don't want to know.
Oh,
about
no,
the
starting
concert.
tomorrow, I think. Tomorrow he's going to some concert.
Well, now we know more information, Chris Miller.
He's off tomorrow.
We won't hold that over your head.
That's why he's staying up so late.
That's maybe that's it. You're right.
Well, again, Frank from
Boys.
Amana Tool, thank you for joining us. We really do appreciate it. I've had a lot of fun. First time I've ever actually met you, so I've had a blast.
Next time you want to talk about something other than Radovich or Soulblade, just give me a call.
We
We'll
will.
talk about what
We're going
not
to
to
have
do.
you on in a short time, and we're going to have that episode called "What Not to Do with Frank" and whatnot.
We'll have to, what not to do.
What
Yeah.
not to do.
Stay away from knots. Boys,
We
Thank you
appreciate
again.
You guys.
take
we
it
thank
easy,
you all
guys.
for-
Have a safe day tomorrow. All right?
You
Thanks
too.
for everything.
Thank
Have a
you,
good
Frank.
one.
Have a good night, everyone, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.